Hello, this is Tim Law with Playing It Forward Coaching, and always encouraging your self-reliance in your life and career. If you'll set a goal for yourself, develop a marketable skill, people skills, go the extra mile, and basically be a team player, there is no limit to what you can achieve in your life. Big thank you to over 430 people that have subscribed to this channel, Playing It Forward Coaching. If you haven't already, please do so. I'd like to welcome two gentlemen, one of which I've known for a long time, Dennis Elliott, and met this other wild man, great guy, a couple of weeks ago. We found out we had wrestling backgrounds between us here, Mr. Joel Kirk. Okay, so welcome, gentlemen, and yeah, kind of share your stories with us here, and we'll go from there. So whoever wants to start, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, this is okay. We got Dennis going. Good.
Yeah, you got Dennis. I'm a retired Army aviator from Hancock, New York. That's where Tim and I share our way long time ago heritage. Came to Fairmont State, 6 years ago. Fairmont State University here at Fairmont, West Virginia was with a very troubled aviation program. And I got a tap on the shoulder from a friend of mine who said, hey, would you mind teaching at this little college here in our backyard? They're hurting. And I said, wow, they couldn't be using me. Well, anyway, I came on, started teaching, and as it turned out, yep, they were in deep trouble. And actually the job was a little bit bigger than I actually realized at the beginning. Their flight program was dying. I stepped in to try to get it resurrected, but I needed help. And it just so happened, this guy here, he and I worked in our military careers back years ago. He's also in the local area down here. So he and I were able to talk. His boy was attending the program at the time. And I convinced him to come over here and see if he'd come over and be the chief instructor. And both of us retired military. We needed a second career, something to do with our spare time, which we seemed to have nothing of. And as it turned out, this was a real gold mine opportunity, trying to build a collegiate flight program. And so far with Joel has really taken us a lot longer distance than I envisioned. This is a perfect storm of people willing to give a lot of their time. It's not just us two. It's 150% buy-in. We have other staff, student instructors, local instructors who volunteer their time. Sure. And it's really going. We're touching young folks' lives. We're looking for quality people, and we're creating the aviators of tomorrow. So,
fantastic. Well, Joel, how about giving us your story a little bit here, my man?
Yeah, so retired. You know, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a Marine pilot. Spent about 13 years of my career as a Marine aviator, and then transferred over to the Air Force and finished out with Air Force Special Operations, flying some airplanes for them. And then basically just retired here in West Virginia. Had no intention of going back to flying again. Just the last 7 deployments I did to Iraq and Afghanistan, I was kind of burnt out after 30 years of doing it. And droning over that place for 6 and 7 hours a day for 7 years really gets to you. But yeah, one thing led to another. One thing I like to talk about is, a chain of success, or a succession of miracles. That I was just briefing some of my staff yesterday on realizing where you are and how you got there is, a good deal of it has to be on your effort and the right environment and the right things. But more importantly, is a lot of things fell in place that you may or may not ever see or ever recognize. And that's kind of how I ended up here. And what I was telling them yesterday is that they need to look and realize this chain of success, or this chain of miracles that happened to even place me here. Not that I'm the miracle, but just the fact that it was never part of my plan to do this. And somehow I ended up at the right place at the right time with the right qualifications in a program that really needed me to fill that seat. And as a result of that, as of me saying yes to that when I was reluctant to do so, we've seen a lot of miracles. And like Dennis said, it wasn't one person. It was literally a conglomerate of the right people and the right things coming together at the same time. But what we did see ultimately was, since we put this program together 5 years ago, we've given out 150 flight certifications. We have recruited other active duty military instructors that instruct with us. We turn out a tremendous product. We're a selective school now in that, and we have the highest poolee grade point average of all students on campus. So most of our students that come in our program are 3.5, 4.0 GPA with a lot of extracurriculars, multitasking students, but we're very selective. We don't take every student that applies here. Part of that application is, I told Dennis when I took this on, I'm not doing it without you. It was that focus and that team going forward together that kind of brought it to the pinnacle of the ziggurat. There was no one person that could do this because there was just too many aspects, getting maintenance together, getting airplanes, building and recruiting instructors, building and recruiting students, getting the administrative side together, dealing with the FAA. There was just no way one person was going to do that. So one of the things I've done in leadership throughout the Marine Corps was one thing you learn being a commander is that everybody's got different strengths and weaknesses in your team.
Sure.
And just like wrestling, we have that big wrestling thing that, that particular weight class, or that guy's a good head dragger, or that guy's good at shooting. We learn to incorporate that into our team to place people in different positions to build the team as a whole. It takes the individual effort, but we plug that into that team as a whole. And that's kind of what we kind of brought, is that military type of environment where we capitalize on people's strengths and try to develop their weaknesses into a team effort. And I really developed this school in that respect, that we operate as a team, that we don't, I hate to say it in this time period, but we don't leave anybody behind. We developed a culture here of not pulling up the rope on your way out, that you reach back and you help that next kid in line that's learning whatever syllabus you just finished. So we develop them as leaders. We develop a holistic aviator. We're not just building people that fly airplanes here. We're building a holistic person that is a leader, that is not a pull up the rope kind of guy or girl, that reaches back and develops that whole person in integrity, in discipline, and drive, and excellence. So, that's how we kind of came up with the name, the Aviation Center of Excellence. We're not just about aviation. We're not just about building pilots. We're about
and ironically, guys, I have one of your
where did that come from?
Yeah, I can't imagine. Where'd you steal that from, Tim?
Well, I had to chase some wimpy wrestler a couple of weeks ago, and he grabbed this and threw a little paint on him, and he coughed it right up. He cried like a baby, but I got it. Yeah.
No, this is count great. The ceiling tiles. Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, we're just for, again, I get a lot of different listeners and everything. Where can you get specifically where Fairmont State University is? Just so I mean, I know where it is, but I want to make sure they do.
Yeah, we're about an hour and a half south of Pittsburgh, about 30 minutes south of Morgantown, West Virginia, where West Virginia University is. So north central West Virginia, just south of Pittsburgh, southern border of western PA there.
Okay.
We're located.
Okay. And the quality, the type of qualities you're looking at from your recruits, what were some of the main things you're looking for? Because I saw you actually admit a young lady to your program a couple of weeks ago, and I was there, 18 years old. She was beyond delighted. She really got choked up and everything that she'd been selected. So what is it, the qualities you guys are looking for?
Yeah, one of the things, and I can pin it all down to one word, is passion. The kids that get to the interview section, so they apply to the program, they get screened initially, and then those that make the screen cut go to interview. And in that interview, that's really where it makes or breaks our selection. And it's like we tell them right up front, we can fix what's up here, cannot fix what's in here.
Right.
If they don't have the heart for aviation, it's very doubtful that they're going to make it through this program, because college is tough, aviation's tough. You're putting those two together at the same time. So they've really got to have that passion. And if I had to encompass everything into one factor that we see weight most heavily, it's that passion.
Sure.
And so we try to pull that out of them during an interview process to see if it's really what they want to do. we almost at some point try to talk them out of it
Mm-hmm.
to see if we can do that because it is a highly demanding 2.5 to 3 years of their life, in the flight portion. And then they've got that 4-year degree they're working on simultaneously. The other thing we looked at is, the overall grade point average did they put out in high school, and not just what they were able to perform there, but were they able to do other things while they were doing that?
Yeah, extracurricular.
Were they able
activities.
to multitask? A kid that comes with a 4.0 and did nothing,
Right,
doesn't tell us much about that student, but a kid that was volunteered for his local community, played sports, was on the debate team, was in the key club, and got a 3.5, 4.0, that tells us he was doing things outside himself.
sure.
So we look for that person that's kind of selfless too, because ultimately
resilience.
They
got to be resilient.
Yeah.
I almost like to see situations where there's a little bit of failure and how they overcame that.
Yeah.
And that tells me a lot about an individual. That's what are they about? What do they got inside them?
Yeah, we actually have that question on our interviews. What have you failed at?
Mm-hmm.
And how did you overcome that? How did you adapt and overcome that failure?
Right.
When did you not meet a specific goal you set out? Because we do find out that in aviation, you've got to be able to get back in the saddle quickly. There is no, I just quit. You might be in a thunderstorm. You can't just quit. You got to fly the airplane.
Right.
So we look for that no quit mentality, the discipline, the passion to do it. So that's kind of what we look for generally.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. So let's say if somebody wanted to get involved as far as the Fairmont State flight school and everything like that, what is it? What's the starting point there? How do they connect with you guys?
So they can just Fairmont State Aviation. If you Google it, it comes up. You go to the website. Our application's open all the time. We don't do a lot of advertising because we've only got 50 seats and we got them full all the time. So generally the kids that want to fly, they'll dig us out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But they go to Fairmont State University and then click aviation, or just you can Google Fairmont State Aviation and it'll come up and it'll say apply. And generally what they do is apply to the university first. And then there's a segment that breaks off to go to aviation because we're more selective than the college is as a whole.
So you got to get in the university first.
Yep.
And then once you get the acceptance, you go into the apply for the flight.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Once they fill out the flight application, it kind of sits in a pool until we get seats that open up.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we do generally every February is we go in and we grab the applications, they're screened, they get cut for interview. We have the interviews about the last 2 weeks of February.
Okay.
And then we do our selection for the next freshman class by March, mid-March.
Mid-March. Yeah.
And then we do have open enrollment. Sometimes a student will drop out for one reason or another or lose their medical. So we keep those applications in, and say a student maybe didn't get selected or didn't make an interview or didn't get his application in and then got it in, we'll go back and look and say, hey, we got a seat opening up. If we can find 3 or 4 kids to put together, we'll start another class.
Sure. Well, I remember talking to you guys a couple of weeks ago, because of the, the number of planes you have and everything like that, it makes a difference as far as, how much room you have as far as the seats. Is your program able to be more scalable, possibly bringing more people in, or are you pretty much maxed out with your numbers now? How does that work, gentlemen?
Yeah, so it is all space dependent.
It's
we got 2-seat classrooms. And actually we are scheduled next summer to begin moving into an expansion.
Okay.
It would encompass 85,000 square feet total here with 2 25,000 square foot hangars.
Okay.
But that particular move would allow us to bring in more airplanes. It gives us 7 more classrooms. So in that case, an event, we could add more students, but it is limited to the number of airplanes we have, number of classrooms we have, and the number of staff we have.
Sure.
And the students they go, it's more like a cohort. So we can't take in 25 new kids or 15 new kids every fall because we still have got to use the same classrooms clear to the end of their.
Yeah, it's an on deck cadre. So,
right.
Once we select a student, a cohort, say a freshman class of 10, they're here for the next 2.5 years. They occupy those airplanes for the next 2.5 years. So the total number, it's not like they move on to another class or another school. we got what we've got with aircraft. So
yeah. And what guys, what kind of planes do you guys fly? You know, this will help me when I'm talking to some of my civil air patrol contacts.
Well, they would know the Cessna 172 quite well, and that's what we have. We have a fleet of about 6 of those now. One retractable landing gear 172, and then we also have a Piper Aztec for a multi-engine that we're just trying to phase into our program.
Right.
One of the things, Tim, that we talk about and that we encountered, you know, this past year, we talked about that Air Force cadet program. We worked with the JROTC and CAP and USAFE for the Air Force Academy. You know, our kind of niche, if you would, or boutique is that we're small. We've only got those 50 students, and we're not Embry-Riddle. Embry-Riddle, the largest in the world, has 1,000 students. And so one of our big selling points is, much like some smaller wrestling universities, I keep going at, you know, Edinburgh and some small universities, where would you rather be a part of a coach in 50 students, or in my case, a chief and 50 students, or a chief and 1,000 students? What program do you think is going to be more selective in what students they pick to get into that program? So we've only got 50 seats. We value each one of those seats. So we're very selective about who gets one of those because we don't have many. Sure.
No, that makes sense. As far as, let's say, individuals that successfully come through your program, what kind of careers potentially would open up for them, you know, going forward?
That's almost limitless. We've got some that have gone on to the military. We have 3 of them that are flying Learjets just up the road in Washington, PA right now.
Wow.
Already. So I mean, we could see airlines. We have one of our former students headed off to the airlines, just got on with the Legion Airlines. So yeah, airlines. I mean, you could go with the licenses we get. The students will come out with a commercial instrument rating, so they take
CFI
and a CFI too, a certified flight instructor.
CFI guys.
CFI, yeah, certified flight instructor.
Okay, just wanted to translate that. Yeah.
Yep, and those people are well set to go just about anywhere, pretty much. I mean, airlines, corporate, charter, they could go and fly crop dusters, from crying out loud, or even be a bush pilot in Alaska. They're more than qualified.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables. I mean, it's almost like the medical field. You know, they say, I want to be a doctor. Well, in what?
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. I mean, like Dennis was saying, the aviation world has so many different avenues that you can take based on your personality.
Sure.
What kind of lifestyle you want to live, even rotary wing, fixed wing. You know, one of the things I say is I would never be an airline pilot. That is just not my personality.
Right.
I am not interested in putting a plane on autopilot and flying from point A to point B. Where I found my niche, even in the Marine Corps and Air Force, was instructing. You know, I got, you know, my spirit came from teaching and teaching kids to fly and passing on that legacy. That's where I really kind of thrive. So I like the yanking and banking and low level flying and all that. I was not much on, even though I flew transport for a while, it just wasn't my thing.
I did the regional airlines, the commuter thing. I went through 4 different airlines. Probably my least favorite job was a stint on airlines number 3 flying C-130 cargo planes, because I just sat there in autopilot for 3 to 5 hours at a time and land and then go to a hotel. I hated that. Give me back the smaller planes, the challenging flying. And when that got, airlines number 4 went sick, I went back on military just because I couldn't vision going to Delta or anything like that. There's no way. That's not.
Sure. Well, it certainly sounds like, you know, it's a great school. As I said, I was very impressed coming out there a couple of weeks ago, guys. Any last second thoughts you'd have toward teens or young adults, tips or ideas regarding this great program before we kind of wrap things up here?
Yeah, one of the things we tell, you know, young people, you know, we're reaching down into the middle school age kids right now, stay out of trouble. We see so many kids that make a stupid mistake, maybe in high school. It's very hard to dig out from under that. Now, you know, that in accordance with, do everything you can to build that. There's not much you can do as a high school student to build a resume, but do what you can. Don't just you know, do the minimum, do something that makes you stand out from the crowd, because that's who we really look for. I mean, when you think the ultimate end of this is kids getting the keys to $20 to $150 million jet airplanes, it's not the masses that do that. It's the elite that stands out from the crowd that we're looking for and that they're looking for at the end of the line. So any kind of trouble they get in, stay away from drugs, alcohol, you know, making families early. We see that a lot, you know, becoming a mom and dad way too young. But you know, that and keeping your grades up and being active in a lot of different things.
Let me add something to that. That's kind of was surprising to us, and I never thought about it. It was an ADHD diagnosis. A lot of folks will run out to try to get that because their grades suffer. Parents are doing that, and that's just about a complete showstopper. For young folks.
Sure, it makes sense, because a lot of times with that diagnosis, whatever, the child will grow through it, you know. But like I said, they start taking those Adderall and everything like that. Now you're impacting, you know, the motivational center, among other parts of the brain, for sure.
And the FAA medical, just that to them, that's like, no.
It's been very sad for us, for some kids that were diagnosed with that, and the parents think, hey, they're, you know, at this young age, we're going to get through this. They don't realize that they've potentially ruined that kid's career forever. If he wanted to be a pilot or get an FAA medical, we don't find it out until the kids get here. That's the first we understood about it. Was when they go to get their medical and FAA says, no, you took this drug when you were 6-8 years old. You can't get a flight medical.
It's a showstopper. Totally. But we had several of those that were good candidates, but there was no way forward. The FAA says no.
Well, that's certainly you know, good to know, you know, going ahead of time there, guys, for sure. So, well, listen, gentlemen, I appreciate this very much. If you guys could hang for a minute, I'll chat with you once I turn the recording off here. Okay.
Sounds good.
Appreciate you very much. I know you guys are really, really busy. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.